Hello, and welcome to Sobercast, where we provide AA speaker meetings and workshops in podcast format. We're an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us be self-supporting by visiting Sobercast.com, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 into our virtual basket. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Have a great day.
So yes, I am here to talk about steps 2 and 3. I am here to discuss, discuss with you. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with you, because boy, the day started with buzzing and text messages going and ducks and people through the wall. I could hear almost every day. I put my earplugs in. I don't want to hear your conversation. I don't want to hear your conversation. And the ice machine and the talks out there and normally, I wake up to a lot of stillness, and I thought, this isn't even irritating me. What's going on? I guess I'm in the flow. And that's the joy, being in the flow, because the flow isn't always fun. It's called growth sometimes. I don't know if you've ever been river rafting. Actually, I was up here years ago, and you got to wear your helmet, and you got to get in. If you get thrown out of the boat, feet first, helmet on, and hope the kayaks come back and find you, and then put you back in the flow in the boat. So it's good to be in the boat with all of you today. And thank you, Daves, and everybody who brought me here. And Julie, thank you for everything and all the sponsees and friends and joy that is in the room, and grand sponsees and people I've known for years, and people I love very, very much. And it's good to be with you. So, I read the other day something very simple, and it just speaks to me. That Bill said that, the program can be boiled down to 2 words, humility and responsibility. And I thought, yeah, those are the 2 things I fight, and the 2 things I want, and the 2 things I'm in, and all what's in between, which is a whole lot of God. So, that's, it says in the 25, which is just when I get kind of excited about life, or get to maybe sad about life, or whatever the emotion I'm having at the moment is. I never knew they passed. It was the first thing I learned in sobriety, that that will pass. What? No, it won't. And my sponsor said, hang on to the seat. Just don't run. Hang on to the seat. So she made me grip the seat. And I gripped the seat. And so I didn't run out of the room, because I'm a runner. And she walked by me 2 days later and said, I'm not gripping your seat. I guess it passed, huh? And I thought, I hate you. But I couldn't talk the first 3 months I was here. So anyway, I lost that whole thought. My sponsor, Janet, is in the room. And God bless her. I don't know where she is. The last picture I saw of her was she was a little tiny little being of a human being that was on some sort of, heroin or something with her family at a family picnic, and no spark and no life, and she gave me so much. So many people have given me so much. But that's it. The central fact of our lives today, page 25, makes me feel calm, that like italics in there, is the absolute certainty that our God has entered into our lives. The certainty, and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. So every single one of us today, even if you're an atheist or an agnostic, and I read some about Bill a couple of weeks ago, he said, you coming in the room, there's a power. Just coming in the room is a power. And if that's what you're having the problem with, just realize that there's a power. Alcoholics are dying right across the lake. They're just, throw a stone. Alcoholics are dying, and we are the lucky ones. We are the ones that have a chance to sit here, as I love to do at every meeting, and hear chapter 5 read, because it's hope. It's hope. And I had no hope. I don't know about you, if you can remember the moment you're drinking. There were a lot, but there was one moment in a bar in the French Quarter where I found my people. And I remember when Hope got up and walked out of that bar. It wasn't a person named Hope, but I remember the moment I realized that my life didn't have hope anymore. And it was a turning point. And there were many times in my drinking that, and thank you, Heather, for being such an alcoholic. And it takes guts to stand up here in 5 years. It takes guts to stand up here with 47 years. And it's always a new experience for me to be with you. And I'm so glad, because I am a seeker. I'm hungry for it. I'm hungry for it. In Iowa, where I grew up, first resentment. At 6, I began to look for the spaceship. At 6, I knew there was something bigger than what I had. And so I was the one out of the family of 4 that turned out to be an alcoholic until recently. I didn't know there were any sort of addictions in our family at all until the trip this summer. I went to see the family and take care of my older sister, who now has had alcoholic dementia and brain bleeds and lives in a locked unit, and she's doesn't remember the 81 countries she and her husband visited. She doesn't, sometimes she'll say to me, "Is our mother dead?" 5 years. And then sometimes we'll be sitting at a table having dinner with friends in AA in Wisconsin, and somebody talked about Clancy, and she turned to him and said, "Oh, Clancy, he helps people." She's never been to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, so I don't know what she's channeling, but she's sweet as pie. But she was the one my whole life I wasn't good enough to be like her. Hero child, saved us from a fire when I was, 8 or something. Saved us all from a fire, all the kids. Mensa, full ride, at an Ivy League school, master's degree. She retired at 50. No kids, but a corporate international lawyer, and they lived all over the world, and she went to 81 countries, and she can't remember the lemurs in Peru. She can't remember that, they took the National Geographic boat up to see the polar bears. She can't remember. And she's younger than most people in there, and she'll live a long time like that. So, that was how I grew up, with Miss Perfect. And, but yeah, I looked for the spaceship but I did find out my grandfather on this trip. Good, my segues are working today. My grandfather, my brother said, "You know how we lost the family farm?" My dad wasn't a farmer, didn't want to be a farmer. He was probably happy it happened. He had a construction business and a lot of building roads and things. So he had a business. But they lost the family farm, and I thought it was because of the bank or didn't have the money. But what I found out is my grandfather Wesley, who I named my son after because he was my favorite relative, of course, we had a connection. I didn't realize this connection of seeking. He was at a 3-day poker game, and he must have had the hand that he knew they couldn't beat except for one other hand. And he pushed that deed over, pushed it all in, and lost the farm to that one hand better than his. I didn't know that. So there we go. I don't feel quite so alone looking for the mothership. It was right there by me all along, some other spaceship people. And so I drank because drinking did it for me. And drinking, I had a God, and the God was love. And because I knew God loved me. And I had beautiful upbringing and a community and fun, and we took care of the community, and they took care of us. We took care of each other. And so I get this community of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the word unity is in community. I just saw that a year ago or something. Whoa, okay. It's a lot to learn, even those little fun things. And so the unity we have here is that we have this common disease and a common solution. And to hear Chapter 5 read at every meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, I just sink a little deeper in my seat and know there's hope. I remember when I got hope here. So I drank, and I drank hard and heavy, and I'm a geographic taker, and I tried a whole bunch of different things. And along my way, I had to slide across the bar things that were very important to me: my art talent, my musical ability. Time to pay with that, Sharon. I don't know if the bartender at the Golden Rail at Upper West Side in New York City would have said that. Hey, time to pay. You got to pay with this tonight. If you want your drink, you got to pay with that. You can just have my art talent. My parents already have oil paintings I've made. Have it. Music, whatever. I play the accordion. That's not cool. But I still play the sax, and that is cool. But there you go. And then, so I slid it across the bar, and then I ended up back at college, and I couldn't paint. I went back to art school, and my dad said, "I'll give you another chance." That was going on. "I'll give you another chance." And at some point in there, I had to slide across the bar the love of my father, because he said, "What's wrong with you?" You know, they ask, "What's wrong with you? Why do you do this? You're sitting in the trunk of our car at 2 o'clock when the bars in Iowa closed," which was like, what? I found my dad's booze, of course, but I had a dog that was killed on the highway, and that's a long story, and he hitchhiked with me from, I don't know, where was I, California, and bit the first guy that got fresh with me, so I was loyal to that dog, and it was loyal to me, but he got hit on the highway in the snow. I don't know what happened, and he was frozen in the trunk of the car because I didn't know what to do with him. It was February in Iowa. So I'm sitting there with the garage door up because my mother heard it go up. The trunk of her car is open. I'm sitting there with the dog in an army blanket, because my mother always had an army blanket about somebody needed it on the road, you know. She was always prepared. And there I was, sitting there with my bottle, which was my dad's bottle I found, and drunk, crying over a dead dog, that she wondered what happened to the dog. And she just got me in the house and put me upstairs to bed. I was the thing that lived upstairs when I came home. But my dad said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Sit down, Dad, I'll tell you." And my dad heard things he couldn't do anything about it anymore. He couldn't go back to that fraternity house and straighten those fellas out. He couldn't do the things. He couldn't help me. And he turned his head from me, set his jaw, and we didn't look at each other for 8 years. And that's what's wrong with me, Dad. I'm going to tell you, because I don't want your help, because I know you can't help me. I don't know I have alcoholism, but I had just a learning disability. If I just had an emotional whatever, they sent me to psychologists, and I don't talk because we're paying you. I don't care, you know, and so they don't want me back. They took me to the family doctor. He gave me Valium therapy. I'm never face down on the bar going left party. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm up and going, you know, so none of that, but I drank. And so I told my dad, so I had to slide across the bar the love of my dad. And I did that with my defiance, my self-reliance, my defiance. And God and I had a fight in the Catholic Church, and I left with the one-finger peace sign out of the confessional. I had him screaming at me. So that's where I left God. I said, "You just go your way, I'll go mine, leave me alone." So I started running alone. I had to slide across the bar the love of my God. I had to slide across the bar my family, who was confused. I had to slide across the bar my dignity. As I went along the way into California, into Colorado, into Wisconsin, down to Florida, over to New Orleans, with the carnival. That's a long story. My dope deal went bad. I was at an organic farm in Wisconsin, and I grew Maui Wowie. That's what I grew. And they all went to do primal therapy, and they didn't like me either, because I'm a drinker. I'm getting kicked out of places that like, you know, the people that panhandle for a living. We're going on a picnic. We're taking you to Mount Baldy. We're going to go on a nice picnic. Bring your things. I should have been hip that morning, but I wasn't. Bringing my things meant we're going to leave you there. And that's kind of how it was. So who cares? I couldn't count on people anymore. I didn't want God. I hurt my family too much. And so I am on self-reliance and defiance is my taproot. It kept me alive. So how am I going to give that up? How am I going to go into coming to believe in a power greater than myself? Well, I am going to be convinced by King Alcohol, because I was, as it says, pretty mangled when I got here. And I didn't know I had a disease. I just thought, that my morals are gone, I don't have a spiritual life, and I don't want one, and I just want to drink myself to death. And I almost did. And, it was, my dad saw me. This is the one time that I hope I never forget. Between me and the door, there's a lot of people, commitments, love for what's been given to me, family, amends that are made. But, we can burn through that. We can just burn right through that if we're alone. If we're alone in our self-reliance, if we're alone in our answers, if we're alone in our disease, because this is an ism thing. I mean, I think you were talking, I'm doing another inventory again. I'm having a new experience, which is beautiful. And it's great because I am at a taproot of like, whoa, I see it. I can have the pause with what is in the way of my happiness, because you are my happiness. I need God with skin on. That's how it is. And, I ended up in this jail in Bogalusa, Louisiana. Don't go there. Yeah, the roaches are as big as my thumb, and they would drag my shoes across the floor at night. Oh, God. And so anyway, I was there because the carnival didn't want me. So there's another living on the edge. They don't want me. I caused trouble with my mace and my attitude and my tequila, and my dog, who was nice, but started biting people. And it was, what happened was I had to slide across the bar my humanity. And I've always cared about humanity, always. About many things. I can't even watch the gazelle finally trip in the mountain lion get it, because I'm traumatized by that stuff. I always was as a little girl. I didn't sleep well at night, and so I don't go looking for it, but with all I do, I made amends to the animal kingdom, and if you are sponsored by me, we'll better have a cat, even if you can't, you're going to go get a cat if you're lonely. So go save a cat. And some of you from up in Oregon, and my girl, Marilyn, I don't like cats. I don't like cats. I said, okay. And then I don't know how long. I thought it was 2 weeks. She said, it was 2 years you sent me a cat to the door. It took 2 years for that cat to make it from L.A. to Eugene, I guess. I don't know. But and she's in love with that cat. So I don't know. God was skin on. And how am I gonna this jail? They took me, had DTs. I cut myself with a piece of glass, Coke bottle or something I found. And I having DTs, and I had blood all over me, so they'd leave me alone. And they came in at night, but they left me alone. She said, she's crazy. Even in that kind of situation, she's crazy. And I'm crazy. But there I was. I finally found the alcohol, but my DTs, I have never had them like that before. I never was without alcohol. So I ended up in this jail, and they said, you have a visitor, and I was 2 weeks unwashed, unkempt, crazy, cuts on me. And they took me in the police car and cuffed me and threw me in an office where was a bail bondsman, a lawyer, and a judge, and looked to my left, and there's my dad, who got on a plane in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, connected in O'Hare, brought his checkbook, flew to New Orleans, rented a car, got out a map, where's Bogalusa? I hope I remember that day, because my cry was, I'm not hurting anyone but me. Leave me alone. And we should just say, stand back and watch me die. Just stand back, watch me die. Because they don't get us. They can't help us. And the joy of it is, you can help me, and I can help you. The detritus of the world here. And we bond. We bond over our disease. We bond over our pain. We bond, this is a room of pain and joy and love and anger, and everything is in this room today. But we have a common solution, and that's a higher power. And the first time I had that experience of a higher power, I was 31 days sober. People had to raise my hands for me because I look like an alcoholic. I smell like an alcoholic. And do you look at my water? I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up. I gotta have my bottle. Oh, thank you. Maybe it'll make me smarter. It says smart water. Okay. Here, I don't need the lid. He's using it. I love it. I'll share a bottle with anybody. No teeth, sores on them. Hey, give me a swig. Who cares? I drank the bong wine from that one commune that didn't want me. Oh, come on, you've done it. I can hear you. I gotta meet you after. But I hope I always remember that day that my dad, how we couldn't look at each other, how he slid to the door. I was by the door, and I slid down by the door. And I had the handcuffs on, and nobody looked, nobody talked. He hired these people to try to get me out. He paid a lot of money, and they put me back in jail. And he didn't know that for years. 20 years sober, I got to make amends to him for that. 20 years sober. We're so smart. I sat down by my dad, and I said, hey, Dad, do you remember the day when? Oh, yeah, he remembered that day. So we laughed over that for a minute. And we had a talk, and he said, you said two things the whole time they asked you any questions. I'm not guilty, and it's not my fault. Because I was becoming the perfect victim. And, that's it in step 2 for me. I have to come to believe that I need a power. I need a power then, I need a power now, I need a power tomorrow, I need a power to stay away from king alcohol, and I need a power to keep me in the flow so I can keep learning and helping and having my purpose, which is not about me. I'd like to make it about me. It's not about me, because that's where God is, my heart to your heart. There's nothing between that. And the miracle that we get to be here and have a chance. It's not, coming to believe that they took my hand down. And I remember having that feeling, I have 31 days. I have to raise my, and I had that feeling, like, what's that? And it was a wink from God. It was a wink from God. I knew I didn't do it alone. That was my first moment of admission, that I didn't do this alone. I don't stay sober 31 days, even in jail. So that was my first moment. When I came to, I was broken. I was bangled. I had been partying in Palm Springs and thrown out of a car. I was in a blackout, and my new friend left me in there with some people I drove away with me. And when I came to, I was being kicked in the face, and there was, I don't remember that much about the evening, which is actually very good. But when I came to, I was face down in the sand. It was early morning. I heard the car door slam, and I'm a survivor. I mean, I've been in a lot of situations hitchhiking. I'm a survivor, because my defiance and my anger or whatever, they'll just let me out. They'll just let me out. And so this happened that day, and I kind of come to with the car door slamming, thinking, I got to get out of here. They're coming back. That was my first thought, but I had a horrible concussion, and I don't remember anything other than my jaw was hanging off my face, and I guess I got some help, and I ended up in a gurney where I had no ID, nothing. I had nothing. And they wanted to know I had to write my name, and I was being prepped for the surgery. And I lay in that hospital. They gave me morphine. I had nowhere to go. It was over. I had become unemployable in the French Quarter of New Orleans, in the local places. That's hard to do. I had gotten kicked out from the Bastille, a real local place. That's hard to do. And I got kicked out of West Hollywood, somewhere, Filthy McNasty's, and we don't remember what we did. So, that one probably just says the name, how it was. But I ended up that morning, and I had nowhere to go, and I was a victim of violent crime, basically, and I ended up above a liquor store in West LA from a guy who came all the way out from Barney's Beanery, where I first saw the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, sitting on that bar in West Hollywood with a drunken girl next to it. And we gave her a toast as the bartender called her a taxi, and big book under her arm, kind of falling out of the door. It's good for you, Chris, go to AA. We gave her a big old toast as she fell out the door. And come to find out, she knew what had happened to me. She heard what had happened to me. Bar talk, I guess, at Barney's. I don't know. I was on my way to Hawaii. Didn't make it. And Chris told her boyfriend to come out and get me in Palm Springs and give me his couch to sleep on. I had nowhere to go. She knew it. I don't know these things until later. So there was a higher power moving me, getting me to that point of surrender. It's like when I raised my hand for 31 days, that was like, I felt a moment of hope and grace and something bigger than me. And so I'm drinking cheap wine through the wires on the face where the tooth had been kicked out, through the bottle of cheap wine. Screw top wine, of course. But he'd buy me a big jug of wine, go off to work. I'd sit there all day long looking at a telephone and a phone book. That's all I did. I was numb. And August 20th, he said, you have to leave, you're depressing me. August 20th, 1975. What? I have to leave? I can't eat, I can't work, I can't walk, I can't do anything. So I called my mom, because that's what we do, collect so they know who's calling. And she didn't know for 2 nights if her daughter was going to be okay. So it's the people that called her from the hospital, I don't know who it was, never will know, didn't tell her what hospital I was in California. So my sister in New York City and my mother in Iowa called every hospital for 2 days till they found me to find out I was going to be okay. Because she just gave them the bare facts of what it was I called. So she didn't sleep for 2 nights. So I'm not hurting anyone but me being sober. My mother slept at night. My mother slept at night. This ripple effect of drinking, the ripple effect of sobriety. So I have nowhere to go, and so there's a phone number that day sitting there. I thought, oh, that girl Chris was always nice to me. She let me stay in her apartment once because I had nowhere to stay in. I had a backpack, a book Be Here Now by Baba Ram Das, all my worldly possessions, no dog, no boyfriends, no hope, nothing. That's how I was living in West LA, and I had no places to stay at times. So I was on the couch. You know what? I crawled across the floor one night because Cal Worthington, I don't know if anybody's California, but when Cal Worthington came on that little black and white TV on her floor where I was sleeping on the floor, and I thought, oh my God, the liquor store is going to close. I better get down there because I was used to 24/7 town. So I had to hide in the bushes to get to the liquor store, which was so far away because I was so paranoid. And I drove by that place, and it was 2 doors down from where I was staying. But it was so hard to get out there, but I had to go get my alcohol. But there was a book there called Came to Believe, and I remember seeing the book. And it had a little shoot of, it was on snow. It used to have the cover with snow and a little shoot of something growing through the snow, a little, pot of life, a little flower or something. And I remember looking at that book going, believe, came to believe, I don't know. I just remember seeing that book. And this is the girl, Chris, whose phone number was there on August 20th. And my mother said, when I called Sharon, we can't help you anymore, go to the Salvation Army. What? Mom, really? So I called the phone number there and I had nowhere to go. I had to go back to court in Palm Springs. It was just, that was really an ember of life. And my mom said that to me, and I was shocked that she wouldn't even send me a $20 bill. You'd have another speaker, Normality, Seconds and Inches were here. Every single one of us. Seconds and Inches. It's a gift. That's a gift of a power greater right there. Right there. And Chris was in and out member of AA, the girl with the big book in the bar. And she said, I can't help you today, but Suzanne can, and I called a stranger. My jaw was wired up, and I couldn't talk for the first 3 months in AA, so it was a blessing for all of you. Right? So anyway, Suzanne knew the liquor store. I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know what to do here, but Suzanne knew where the liquor store was. Told me where to sit. She said, bring your things. Another one. And this car pulled up, and I think I'd gone to go get a bed or a place to stay or something. I don't know. And it was 2 members of AA, and they came and got me and took me to a meeting in a church. And I thought, oh no, me and God, not doing it. We're not doing it, God. And I thought, but I need a place to sleep. So I sat there, and the man at the podium hooked me. He said he always waited for the spaceship to land and say, you can come home now, Bill. And I lifted my broken little head up, and I looked at all of you, and I went, oh my God, spaceship people, I'm so happy to see you. And that was my hook. I think we all have a hook. I hope that I'm the one that walks into a room and gives you a hook if you need it. I hope I'm the one that says something for you. I hope I'm the one that walks in a room. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. Because you are my God with skin on. And so, yeah, I ended up at my meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've been here ever since, and I have no idea why. I was bone tired. That kept me here a while. And so that's how I got to you. And that's what you were working with. And coming to believe and all of that, I just thought, no. But my first sponsor moved me from floors that I was sleeping on, from many of you beautiful women, to her couch. So that's going to sponsor, your life gets better. And that's what happened. So I was on her couch, and I had to do a little prayer at night, because my mother taught me manners. She said, if you're staying here, I want you to do this little prayer at night. On your knees. What? My knees. I don't want God to know I'm in Santa Monica. No, thank you. But I'm polite, and I know that she was giving me a place to sleep and, put me out. She had the family, but so at 2 a.m, God's waking up Australia. So I think he's not paying attention to Santa Monica. Because I wasn't really sleeping. I was laying there with a cover over me, thinking. And I got on my knees, I'd say the little prayer very quietly with my broken jaw. Thank you for all you've given me. Thank you for all you've taken away from me. Thank you for all you've left me. And I would push it back under the pillow because I couldn't remember the prayer. And I would fall asleep reading the first 3 pages of the big book over and over and over again. I could contain nothing in my mind. So that my sponsor was perfect for me. Go take a walk, tell me what color of flowers you see, come back, and we're going to go to a noon meeting. You can sit by the fish tank and watch the fish, because there was a fish tank in the Culver City Clubhouse. And that's how I was treated, with kindness and love, and that grace that you guys give, whether you want it or not, we have that. It's all for fun and for free. And what I remember being at the coffee shop, and this is another wink from God that let me know that it was bigger than me and the kindness was there, because we had a CIA lady named Pat in our group. She was scary. And I remember my first commitment, I didn't know how to wash ashes and ashtrays and cups all in the same sink, and they gave me cup washing because I couldn't do much. And I just was frozen. There's ashes in with these cups. I don't know what I'm doing. And the guy that's the dryer is waiting for me. Come on. And Texas accent tattooed here. I don't like you. And I'm going to smack you with a coffee cup. But I couldn't. So I was supposed to wash, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So Pat gets in my ear behind me and scared me. She said, wash. Okay, wash. That was my early direction, that kind of thing. But we were in the coffee shop, and Pat, I don't know what's happening, but is it bothering you guys? No. Okay. Anyway, Pat was taking me home that night, wherever my home was at that moment, and she was at the coffee shop talking to my friend Junan, who died of alcoholism. I love Junan. And so they were talking, and I'm drinking hot coffee, and I don't realize, I'm trying to put it down through this little spot in my mouth where I can maybe drink coffee. And it's running down the side of my face. I had no feeling for like 2 years. But I didn't feel it until I hit my T-shirt, and then it was like, hot coffee. And then it was on the table, and I'm like, oh my God, they're all going to know that, I'm from Iowa, pigs and corn. And they're going to say, we don't want you anymore. So Pat's eyes got big, and I thought she was going to say, oh my God, please, somebody take her home. I've taken her home once this week already, She says she smells bad, and she looks bad, and she's from Iowa, so just get rid of her. I didn't know. I was ready for it. And she had big eyes looking across the table at me. But she took a napkin, and this is something that let me have a little faith and hope. She took a napkin. She put it in the corner of my cheek, where that was coming out of my face, I guess. I had to learn that. And then put it on the table, which had a puddle of water and coffee and a mess. And she went back to her conversation. But before she did, she looked at me and gave me a wink. And that wink lit a little fire of hope in me, that you're going to be okay, kid. That was a hook for me that night. I needed that hook. And so there I am. I'm here on this, trying to do this prayer at night. I don't know. I don't want God to know where I am. I don't know what this is all about. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know. Is this where I've come? I don't know. I guess I'm an alcoholic because we did step 1, and I wrote some things for her because I couldn't talk, and I couldn't comprehend this book at all. It just continually amazes me what Bill and Bob put together and how close we would have come if there wouldn't have been crows on Ebby's freshly painted house that day, that he got out his shotgun and tried to shoot the crows off the roof, that he ended up in jail, where he ended up finally meeting Roland, who finally, eventually, through the Oxford and all of that, ended up at Bill's door, fresh-faced. That just the moments where if it wouldn't have, Gail talks about silver threads. I think it's Van Eyck talks about the little stones in the path. Just seconds and inches that we're here. So the day is divine. And in divine, it's bigger than me. It's the collective wisdom of the heart of Alcoholics Anonymous. We're sitting in the divine today. And I know that my start was slow, and I eventually got on my knees, eventually picked God with my Beacons moving van. It just seemed to be working. It was across the street, and it was this Thursday night meeting, and I had a little time. Now my jaw's unwired, and she kept telling me, I better get a God. I gotta get a God. and she would clip by, and she had hot pants shorts on, and she would like an orange chartreuse bow and orange nails and turquoise hot pants, and I could always spot her in a room. She was and she'd laugh like a duck, quack, 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 quack. Oh my God. There were a few times in life I go, why did I pick her? I'm so embarrassed, and she would look at me and go, don't tell anyone I'm your sponsor, It's called the Mutual Admiration Society, I guess. I don't know, but Janet said, I'm picking Beacon's moving van because she's on my case. And hey, it's like a beacon of hope. It's spelled different, and it's moving, and I went all over the place, and I made it to you, put down that little ramp, and you kind of guided this little thing in those quilty blankets you brought me. God brought me all broken and a little bit warped. Put me here, got me in the meeting. Here you go, Beacon's moving van. So I explained it to the newcomers I'm talking to, and she's standing there with her hand on her hip. She's telling me I better get a guide. And I'm going, Janet, I'm talking to newcomers. Look, okay, so I got this guide right in front of her, and she said, good, as long as it's not you. Clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. And that rang in my head. Good, as long as it's not you. Good, as long as it's not you. But this God, this good orderly direction, this dog spelled backwards, Figure that one out, right? Just for you, Linda, I'm going to talk about my dog in the morning, my Maddie. When I was going through my husband dying 11 years ago, I woke up, we had lost our dog. I woke up one morning, I can't do this, I don't want to get up anymore. I was sober a long time, and so was he. And he was on his last legs. And then it was bingo, what gets you up in the morning? A dog. So I went looking for this dog, and she and I looked at each other. She had the cage between her, and she's looking at me. I'm looking at her. She's looking. I said, you want to go for a walk? And she went, so, literally. So we walked for 2 weeks. I took her out of the shelter. We walked for 2 weeks. And then I said, you want to come home? She was pretty traumatized. It took her a long time. But in the morning when I would get up after my husband was gone, I'd just have to say God about 20 times just to get out of bed. God, God, God. Nobody's there, so it worked, except the dog was listening. So she'd get on the bed, and I'd say God. She'd start jumping around. The dog spelled backwards. It totally worked for me. And so I'm still with Maddie. Maddie's still with me. So I've come to enjoy and be delighted to work with many people in Alcoholics Anonymous and to help them get closer to their God. That's my goal. Get closer to your God, because great things will happen for you. The promises in step 2 I love, because I don't like, I read my little designs and plans. I don't like anything little. Nope, I want double rock glass Jose Cuervo. No ice, no salt, no lime. Just give it to me, back it up, and have that bottle. That's my bottle right back there. And I can drink like nobody could drink, but at the end of my drinking, I knew I was dying, and I was just looking for the right people to do it, I guess. And I almost succeeded. So when it talks about that after the bedevilments, where are we here? My little designs and plans, because that's what it is. And then it talks about the beautiful promises after that self-sufficiency and reliance and all that gets out of the way. So, of course, I can't find it. I love it. I'm not going to go into self-pity, so don't worry about it. It's not that big of a thing. Here we go. Oh, that's the third step promises. Okay. It talks about, we had a new employer being all-powerful. He provided what we needed. If we kept close to him and performed his work well, not my work, not keeping close to me, established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little designs and plans. It sounds so mealy-mouthed. And I just went, whoa, 63, thank you. We were at step 3, but it says right here after that, more and more. These are the promises from me. We became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. I didn't like life. I started to become interested. As we felt new power flow in. Okay, new power, not old, not jaded, not angry, not any of that. We enjoyed peace of mind, which I never had. I protested for peace. I got tear gas for peace. I made love for peace. Everything was about peace and love back in the day. No peace. No peace of mind. As we discovered, we could face life successfully. We could face life. I can walk out the door and be successful. Take God with me. You go first, God. You already know what I want. I don't have to say anything. Just show me how to be today. Give me the pause. And after the pause, there's a prayer. And sometimes that pause has to last with prayer for months before I can move ahead and proceed. It was like, okay, I paused. Now. No. I've learned that. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of His presence, awake, alert, feeling it, knowing it, having it lead my way, we began to lose our fear, because fear guides me, of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. We were reborn. Boy, I'm glad you didn't show me that in the beginning. Then my one finger peace sign to God in that Catholic church to the priest, I would have given you that to reborn. There's no reborning with me. I have a past that is full of pain and victim, and I don't know how to bring that even to an inventory. I don't know how to give it to a God. I don't know how to uncover it, discover it, and discard it, as Chuck says. I don't know how to rub out the record. I don't know how Sandy would say, just make a new pass, make a new, just take it, and the glass is all dirty, clean the glass, clean the glass. And Sandy always told me, and I love this, he said, I just want to be in the corner of that stage and let God direct, and give me a dustpan and a broom and I'll sweep up the corners. You can stand with me in the corners, Sharon. We'll sweep up the corners. And that's what I do. I stand with so many of you in the corners. And then we go out into the world and we can bring the joy of being saved to save others. That's what we have here is our purpose, is to fit myself to be of maximum service to God and the people about me. To God first. And my work can be in here. My joy can be in the world. I take it out there. I have to. I can't live 2 different lives. I can't live 5 different hats. And my husband was dying. I'd walk in the house and he'd say, I was talking to Don about this. He'd say, you've circled the house 15 times and haven't even made eye contact yet. And I'm complaining about my job and my work and whatever. And it's like, my God, he's got an expiration date on him, and I'm walking around the house and not even looking at him. And it broke my heart. So I put something on the door that my dad had made. He was Czech, and so he made this welcome sign in Czech, the Tommy Boss. And I put it on the door so I would tap it like people do in a synagogue, the mezuzah. I would tap it and bring God in. So God came first into that home. And he was able to have a peaceful transition. And that's how I just have that awareness, that consciousness of something in my whole being. And God is my friend. It talks about God being your friend. God is my friend. God is my friend. And that took a long time to get to. Because I thought I had to please God. I thought, all of that self stuff, self-centeredness. Who am I to please God? God already is pleased. And I used to say, I have a lot of answers for God when I meet God. And somebody told me, Sharon, when you meet God, you'll know all the answers. Okay. That's all I needed to hear. And my friend Marilyn said, if you meet God on the road of life, kill him. What? Kill him? Because then you've met him, and you've seen him, and you know him. No, bigger. The bottom of one mountain, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the other. So it's keep climbing, keep going, keep seeking. And sometimes I'm in the valley and you got to come get me. Sometimes I've got my crampons and my ice axe and my oxygen and my, everything I need to survive this big climb of this problem I've got. It's like I finally have the awareness. I look down and it's a speed bump. You just take all that crap off, lie down, and roll over it. You know, it's like I make mountains out of molehills, you know, and thank God for the big pause. Thank God for that big pause, because that's where God can come in and go, just come sit with me a while, Sharon. And I can sit with God, you know. I had trouble meditating. Sandy actually helped me with that. I meditated very differently for a while, very differently. You know, I was quiet and, you know, kind of telling the monkey mind to go away, and yet he was always there, you know, give me entertainment in my quiet. I thought I'd be quiet and still. But he said you can do 20 minutes of meditation 5 times a day, or 4 times a day. Really? So I would start making sure I had my 20 minutes of meditation in 4 times a day. And that helped me want to meditate. That helped me want to breathe. We don't breathe, women especially, you know, because we're gone sooner than you guys with alcoholism, and then we don't breathe for like half the time we're alive. Okay, I breathe. So yeah, so I've changed over the years with how it is, and now, you know, I can meditate while driving. One of the daily reflections is to levitate. Just levitate above your car. Okay, so I've been meditating in my car as I'm driving. Being one of God's kids on the road, stuck in traffic. Okay, you know, what that guy thinking? And then a couple things happened this last week. And I'm bringing God in, but it's just, I went by an 8-car accident, and I'm not a looky-loo. You know, and there were 3 deaths, and it's just chaos. It was still smoking, and all the emergency was getting there, and we were all stuck there, and I wasn't looking, but I could feel the horrificness of it. And it's where I go every single day. And my dog pooped late, and I thought, thank you, Maddie. I'm 10 minutes late to work because of you. Who knows, right? I don't know. I can't figure all that out. So I thought about all the people in that car making plans for dinner that night. All the people in that car, those cars, thinking about their child's birthday party over the weekend. It's precious. It's so precious. I do not like wasting time. There's another part in the book, it talks about wasting energy. My little designs and wasting energy keep me propelled, because there's so much that we can do in the day. So much. And at night when I go to bed, I have more meditation. I have more thank yous. I have to pray for people. I have to pray for people. There's been a whole big hubbub about Zoom, no Zoom, blurring, no blurring. And so I've been praying for some people. And I saw one of these guys, and he walked by me, and he's kind of, there's no camps, but, you know, it's like, trying to be polite and nice and sort, you know, the literature and everything there, but, you know, we all have different ideas. So I've been praying for him, and he walked by me. I said, oh, you're going to talk to me tonight? Last week you ignored me. He said, no, I didn't. Yeah, twice. You ignored me twice. And he said, well, I'm hard of hearing. I was like, crap. I said, I've been praying for you for 2 weeks. He said, Sharon, I've had the best 2 weeks of my life. Keep doing it. I was like, no, not for you. So I have this beautiful new love in my life after being alone for, you know, we laugh because when I don't understand something or I'm not a team player, I go, well, I was alone so long, you know, I mean, I was a widow so long, but yeah, we've been, he's 31 years sober and met in Zoom, so, you know, FaceTime for 7 months, met finally, and we knew everything about each other, so it's been effortless to take the time to get to know someone, as I love to do with the people I sponsor. I love to do. I want to know where you come from, what you need. I want your goals. Because a lot of these women I'm sponsoring have 32, 33, 28, 25 years. I want to know where you are, because my goals change. But it's first of all, get closer to God, be of service. And anyway, he was with me. I had some, I don't know, thought they were having the tingling and this and that and the pain, and found out it's, you know, probably it may be a little ulcer pain or something, and it's nerve damage from an accident a year ago. But I was all worked up in the hospital in emergency room for 8 hours. Blah. And perfect. But he said, I think you're having some neurological stuff. So I went to my doctor, who took a neck x-ray, because they never did. They took a back x-ray after the car wreck and all of that. I was a passenger rear-ended on the Santa Monica Freeway. That was fun after a meeting. My serenity went right out the window. She was trying to say it was our fault that she hit us because we were stopped because there was gridlock. So I just got in her face because she was intimidating the driver, who's a grandbaby, and I'm going to stick up for my driver. Sorry, and my grandbaby. Anyway, so I lost my serenity, but they ended up coughing up insurance and stuff. But my doctor said to me, well, did they ever do a neck x-ray? And I said, no, they didn't. So he said, we're going to do it. So we did one, and I came back, and he's looking at the neck x-ray, and Pete's standing next to me. And thank God he was, because my knees buckled when he said, when did you break your neck? It's a very old injury, but it healed itself. So it wasn't just the broken jaw and all of that other. And I just think that it got me closer to how we are important to be here. How important it is for us sitting in this room to have a real purpose, to fit ourselves, to be of maximum service to God, the people about me. God first. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for getting me here fairly enact. That we don't know about. But I take her every once in a while. I don't know about you, but ism is in the room, right? Ism is in life, It's not, I love the ABCs. I always love to hear the ABCs because they make me just know that I can do those three things. Maybe I can't do that inventory yet. Maybe I can't do those amends to my mom and my dad and the people, my friend in the French Quarter who got killed on Mardi Gras Day outside my door, things like that. How do you make amends to the carnival for ripping off kids and macing their fathers? God shows the way, though. If I put God first in that inventory, God shows the way, and God showed the way with the carnival, because my son got kicked out of kindergarten. Yes, he did. And I took him to Sister Sheila's school. I sponsor a nun now for 40 years. How'd that happen? When she asked me, I went, nobody was standing behind me. And she would say things like, why don't you come over after school? We're going to have mass, and the kids are there, and we'll go to a little light lunch or dinner afterwards. And so I would go and sit in the back, and they'd talk about peace and love, and there'd be a feeling in the room, and I go, I got to give that one up now. So my son ended up at that school, that Catholic school, and for our first, halfway through kindergarten, all the way through 8th grade. And guess what they have every spring? A school carnival. And I'm at a parents' meeting, and we need help. We need people to come and help and donate their time. And it's like, Sheila's looking at me. So for 8 years, I bought ride tickets. I went to those games. I gave teddy bears. My son became the biggest fundraiser because I worked for these lawyers, and they would come in a year later. They go, I go to them. Oh, it's that time of year. St. Augustine's. How much is the check? And I think they made 100. I thought maybe 500. Okay, 500. So we got a lot of donations, and my son got this big award, and this was God in this too, because he's in 8th grade. He's at that selfish place little boys are at. And he gets this award in front of all his friends, and biggest fundraiser they've ever had, probably ever will have. But he called me up. He said, no, this is for my mom. And he called me up and gave me that little trophy. So there was a lot of healing in just showing up, just saying yes to sponsoring somebody. The ripples, my dad. I'm going to tell a couple of family stories and then sit down. You guys have been so great to be with me today. I've pretty much broken open. I think broken open hearts heal bigger. We have more love, and they're kind of stitched together after a while with some very thin thread, and the next break will rip them apart again, and I might need Candace's sewing machine to help me with that, but, I don't know. They just keep ripping open and growing bigger, and... But broken open hearts heal bigger. And with my My family, oh my God. You know, after Clancy became my sponsor for a long time. And I had to get a new sponsor after he passed away. But he's still in my actions, in my heart, my hand, my actions, my feet. And I was taught well, and I came in that group in 1975, and I'm still there. I sat there through when my father was killed. I sat there through when my husband left me for the newcomer in the room and nobody got custody of the meeting. I sat there through when I lost my career. I sat there through all of that. And there were times I wasn't happy, and I had my arms crossed and my legs kicked out and make you walk over me. You want to get in the row, walk over me. And that CIA lady, Pat, big meeting in the sky now, she was with a newcomer. I was 10 years sober. She looked at the newcomer, looked at me, walked over my feet because I wouldn't move my arms or my feet. And she said, look at Sharon. She's got 10 years. Do you want what she's got? I heard her. So my dad, when I made those amends, he said, okay, I just wanted you to be happy. And that was after inventory. So she said, go home, be happy, be happy. So I was ready to do that. And then I got another sponsor, Jenny, for 5 years. She says, time to pay your dad back the money you owe him. And the money I owed him was a lot. And he had come to walk me down the aisle, my first marriage, and we were eye to eye. Somebody took a picture, 2.5 years sober. And I called my dad. He had bought the big book. He had read it. He had run a calculator tape. He's a businessman. And my brother said, I saw your dossier. It was quite thick. It was on his desk. So my dad was ready for me. And what bothered me wasn't that he was ready for me. I didn't even put that together. What happened was my dad said to me, okay, I'll accept your payment terms. It seemed high to me. I forgot about the car. We forget about things, right? Do you remember that day, Dad? Yeah, he remembers that day. They don't forget. We're like the tornado. We leave they're not in the basement being safe. Huh, Paula? Dr. Bob's house. We were there and there was a tornado. Paula and I were there. It was fun. Nobody come to the basement. She's from Nebraska. I'm from Iowa. Come to the basement. Come to the basement. Oh, no, we're up here having fun with Dr. Bob's all his stuff. It's like, okay. Dr. Bob might say get in the basement, but I segue. So my dad, he said, okay, accepting my payment terms. And Jenny Gates said to me two things. Don't be late with that payment because Bill and Bob are watching. And the second thing she said, are you willing to grow through this with him? Well, I don't think so. But sponsors, they want something, you say, yes. And then you call your AA sister later or something, or I got to pray for her all day now. Okay. So he accepted my payment terms, and my dad got a check on a note for 4 years, 10 months, the best I can figure, on time, with a note about my life, because that's what she said. Are you willing to grow through this with your dad? Give him Sharon's life. Tell him about Sharon's life. Not the sister in Alaska, not the brother with the doctorate, not brilliant sister who was drinking herself to death, and her husband was the al-anon. But he was a big drinker, but he was keeping her quiet. We don't see each other that much. We live all over. That's what was happening. We found her after he died. Heartbreaking. But, so there, I did that for 4 years and 10 months. And my dad called me after Christmas. It was Boxing Day, and he said, Merry Christmas, daughter. I don't want your money anymore. Nope. You're all free and clear, but don't stop sending me your notes. And that was the beginning of a brand new relationship before my father got killed in an accident on his land. And we need each other. We need God with skin on. I needed Clancy that day that happened. And he was out of town, and he was in Africa, and there was no way to reach him, no cell phones in '99. So Johnny Harris, who was Casey's sponsor for years, he came over and got my son and me on the plane, and I went to Iowa, and we're having the wake, and everybody's okay, Sharon, we want you to talk. And I can't talk. I can't. And I saw his accordion sitting in the corner, and I said, okay, I can play him Amazing Grace on the accordion. But his accordion has buttons on both sides. I have a piano accordion. You do that thing, and you get 8 notes every time you make a pull or a push. So I'm in a closet, cedar closet, for 4 hours with somebody I sponsored. I don't sponsor her anymore, but her eyes were rolling by the end of 4 hours with me in the closet. And I said, how's it sound? She said, it's better. So I'm going off to this funeral, and Clancy's back in town, I heard. So I'm at the rectory because nobody knows who I am in this community. Nobody has any idea that I'm an AA. Nobody knows I've changed my life, right? I'm making it about me. My dad's in the coffin, and it's about me. Boy, can we be selfish and self-centered. And I'm on the phone in the rectory, and he picks up and he said, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I know, and I'm crying, I'm sobbing because I can't play that tune. I can't do it. I'm so scared. I don't think I want to do a good job. And it finally comes out. He's figuring out why I'm sobbing. He didn't know why I was sobbing. And he said, Sharon. See, sponsors figure it out. We have that intuitive ear, if I'm doing my work right. We have that intuitive ear. And he said, Sharon, you're going to do a beautiful job. Don't worry about it. You're going to do a beautiful job for your father. And I want you to look around the church. There won't be a dry eye. They're going to love Amazing Grace on your dad's accordion. But there will be a couple of people sobbing, and I want you to look at them closely because those are the musicians. So my dad 12-stepped the town drunk later in life. I didn't know that, and this is how God works. I'll go to a meeting I don't want to go to, right? Show up where we're supposed to show. And it was raining, and I didn't want to have a carpool. I didn't want to talk to anybody that night. And so LA, it's gridlock, and I make it just in time to talk at the break. And after that meeting I didn't want to go to, a girl comes up to me, and she said, I talked about the town drunk that my dad 12-stepped. I didn't even know. My mother told me after he's gone. He gave him the book and said, you're not divorcing your wife. You're an alcoholic like my daughter. It's helped her. Maybe it'll help you. I gave him the book. So this girl comes up to me and says, oh my God, you talked about my Uncle John. She recognized me. I went, no. And I used to babysit her. She gave me her name. And I went, I used to babysit you. Sorry about the pot, because I was like, I never drank babysitting, never drank. I smoked a lot of pot. And then she said these words to me that were just my dad coming back. Everything came back and gave me the biggest hug. She said, I went home 2 years and my Uncle John 12-stepped me and I have 2 years. How does that happen? Showing up, being aware, doing what I'm supposed to do. Even if I like having a good attitude. I work at it. I used to just go with defiance and God would give it to me anyway. Oh, okay. I don't fight it so much anymore. And I left a good taste in everybody's mouth in my family when I didn't get out of the van at my sister's wedding when they picked me up at an airport and I had done my morning talk with God in O'Hare, getting connected to Cedar Rapids, and they all picked me up and nobody's talking to me. My dad's talking to Nancy about finance, the brilliant one. My mother's talking to Sally about the wedding and some of the things they're doing. And I went, I just got off a plane from LA, Mom, I'm fashionista, but I'm sitting in the middle of the van, no one's bringing me into the conversation. My brother's talking to the new brother-in-law, who's a commercial fisherman in Alaska. He's talking to him about fishing. I thought, Miles, I taught you how to put a worm on a hook. Nobody's bringing me into this conversation, which is like 8 in the morning after a night flight, but I found some place to meditate in the morning and set myself right. Say that third step prayer. I'm going to offer myself today. It's hard going back home. And I was just about ready to tell them what I want because my dad turned around and said, are you okay? No. But I didn't say that. I just went, because I'm having cathartic sobbing. And he's hearing it. See, the family doesn't accept me. I'm in Iowa. I'm worthless. Here I go again. Here's my taproot. So I got to be defiant. And I'm ready to just get out my soapbox and stand it down and say, finally you asked. Listen up, family. But see what that intuitive thought, that voice that when I was laying in the sand on July 20th, 1975, before I got to you, July 27th, August 20th, you know how I got up? After I heard the car door slam and I couldn't get up, I heard a voice that said, that great reality deep down within it talks about steps. Get up, I want to live. No, I don't want to live. But I heard it. And I heard it that day, get out of the van. So we stopped the car on a river road. I got out of the van. I had some water, looked at everything around me. Beautiful Iowa. This is my beautiful state here. Rolling hills, eastern Iowa, gorgeous. And I paused and I prayed and I got back in the van and we had a great weekend and I didn't blow it so that my dad wouldn't have that big book beside him to say to that guy that came to him to ask about divorcing his wife, here's the big book and tell my daughter maybe it'll help you. I could have cut it off. I could have cut it off right there. So I know that, I know that God is good. God is fabulous. God is my friend. God goes with me everywhere. I've been through a lot of fear, and God has walked me through with your help, shoulder to shoulder, hand to hand, heart to heart. So how can I not be happy when the ducks are doing it and the people are talking and the ice machine's going, and I wake up to a beautiful message from my beautiful man, Pete. And I'm loved, and I love, and I'm cared for, and I care for. And if I'm not, I'm going to stay away from the limpers, because that's what my grandma taught me. I said, Grandma, why do people hurt animals? Why do people hurt each other? She said, Sharon, listen up. I was a little girl. She said, we just ask God to turn their hearts. Please turn their hearts, God. And if you can't turn their hearts, please turn their ankles, so we'll know them by their limping, So until I got to you, and I know everybody's God was given, everybody had a mother, everybody was born with the same spark, but in Alcoholics Anonymous, you're my spaceship, you're my seeking, you're my people, you're the last time you're the last, the belly laughs. I don't care if I laugh like that sponsor, I don't care if I'm crying in the middle of you, I don't care, I want to be a listener, I want to be taught, whatever I'm taught, I want to teach, just as I've been taught with my experience. I want to get on my knees at the end of the night and thank the power that loves me more than I can ever imagine. I used to think freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Whew. Freedom is this third step prayer, so if you want to say it with me, say it with me. God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, so victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May do Thy will. It's not about us girls and boys and everybody and in-betweens. Let's go out and have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Sobercast is ad-free, and we'd like your help in order to keep it that way. So if you'd like to help us be self-supporting by pledging $1 or $2 a month, visit Sobercast.com and look for the donate links. Thank you very much.